Conceived in the aftermath of slavery, delivered through the creative genius of grassroots folks, born as a pre-independence urban phenomenon, enduring notoriety and social stigma, and eventually emerging triumphant and loved by all. From the nights of the Cambule riots, through the streets with drums and lighted torches, to the rhythmic days of the booms, chandlers, cutters and foolays of the tambu bamboo, to the 1930s defiant metallic beat of Alexander's ragtime band, onto the advent of the scintillating sound of the chromatized modern steel pan of independent Trinidad and Tobago. That, in a nutshell, is the story of the origins of the steel pan, its development, and its present position of power as the national instrument of Trinidad and Tobago. The steel pan, the only known musical invention of the 20th century. The steel pan, the instrument of the National Steel Symphony Orchestra. The National Steel Symphony Orchestra, taking the sound of our music to the rest of the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, the National Steel Symphony Orchestra, NSSO.
One of the things that gives me a lot of joy as Director of Culture is that I have the opportunity to coordinate the work of the National Steel Symphony Orchestra. The first time I saw them in a performance, I was enthralled by the sound that came out of the pans that they use. This particular orchestra was started in 2007. This group is called the National Steel Symphony Orchestra. And so a large part of the repertoire is classical music. This group is blessed to be led by Jessel Murray, who's a musical director. I have seen the level of discipline I have seen in this band I have not seen anywhere else. When Jessel has had a significantly positive impact on this group of players. He gets the best out of them. Most advanced countries have some kind of symphony orchestra. The fact that pan is a national musical instrument means that we must have a national steel symphony. Our national steel symphony can stand up to any symphony, and I'm not saying steel symphony, any symphony anywhere in the world.
These guys are using exclusively the Genesis pans.
They exclusively use G pans, which is the future for me in pans. In that, one of the things I've heard Jester say is that when you hit a strike a note on a G pan, all you get is that note. There's no, the note doesn't bounce anywhere else. There's no resonance somewhere else in the instrument. You hit a note, it's a note that is clean, clear, and that makes that's what makes the music that comes out of it so beautiful. And they have shown that the G pan works, that the music that comes out of the G pan, you can use a smaller number and get the same range of tonal quality, the same range of musicality out of the instrument. And for somebody who doesn't know anything about music, they teach me a lot about music. What I do know is that when they play, you feel a lot of joy, and those who experience them on Friday night at Naprimo Bowl in Steel Fest, I know people just couldn't stop talking about it, totally enthralled by what they were able to produce.
Steel Pan, uniting the sounds of the world. The theme of the Steel Pan Festival of Trinidad and Tobago, Steelfest 2012. An international instrument-based celebration paying homage and tribute to our national instrument.
Well, the thinking behind Steelfest is Trinidad and Tobago is the birthplace of Pan, and we need to find a place on the annual agenda for Pan. We want Trinidad and Tobago to be the mecca of Pan.
The inaugural year 2012 committed and dedicated to two significant historic events: the Diamond Jubilee, 75 years of the development of the steel pan, and the Golden Jubilee, 50 years of Trinidad and Tobago's political independence.
I also want to congratulate Trinidad and Tobago on the 50th anniversary of independence. Your twin island state is an active and important member of the United Nations. I have very fond memories of my recent visits for the Summit of the Americas and the Commonwealth Summit. Both times, I received a taste of Trinbago's cosmopolitan culture. Together, you have aspired, and together you have achieved. And together at this festival, the global family of Pan will enjoy music that brings peoples and nations together.
David Rudder's musical allusion to the meeting of the River Ganges and the River Nile became a reality on Friday, 11 May, at this International Pan Festival in the Naparima Bowl Theatre in San Fernando. The scintillating sounds of the National Steel Symphony Orchestra encountered and merged with the rhythm and passion of the drums of India.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, drums of India and the National Steel Symphony Orchestra of Trinidad and Tobago.
This group, the Drums of India, led by Mridanga Maestro Sri Peruvalli Jayabhaskar, has been sponsored by the Indian Council for Cultural Relations, Government of India, and is being hosted here by the Steel Fest 2012.
Previously, I performed with a group in the Festival of India in Moscow. So that came out very well. So maybe they had some good opinion about me. So they gave me this great opportunity to perform in Trinidad and Tobago.
It's a mix of two types of instruments, and they belong to two different classical music systems of India. Now that leads to another question. Whereas we have European music, classical music, in India, because of the introduction of Muslims into India around the 11th century, the then music then evolved over hundreds of years into what is known today as the Hindustani system. Now, the South India remained untouched, so we have the Carnatic system. Now, most of our forefathers that came from India, they would have come from Bihar, Central India, which was strongly influenced by the North Indian system. So, two of the instruments that you would have seen would be the sitar and tabla. The others are practically new from South India, and it's called the Carnatic system, named after the place itself, Karnataka. And in my, as far as I remember, it's the first time these instruments are coming to the country. One is the mridangam, that's the core for all of the classical pieces. There's the other one the guy was playing from his mouth. I think it's a C-shaped metal with an extended piece. So he's plucking on it and getting tonal modulations by biting on that structure. The other one would have been the tawil. It's a short, it looks like a dholak, but it's skin and it's normally played with rings on the fingers. You would have had the duff. kanjira, which it looks like a tambourine with a skin. But the way they play it by holding it and squeezing on the skin and playing with the fingers, it sounds like someone playing a dholak with both hands, even though it's just one surface you're playing on. That's known as a ghatam. It's normally tilted and it's played striking the body itself. And you get bass sounds by striking the top. There are some musicians in India that they actually tilt it towards their stomach. And while they're playing, they're moving it. So you see them playing with their shirts open. But it's known as a ghatam. It's made out of clay.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Drums of India.
This is a unique moment of cultural exchange in the truest sense of the term between the best of India and the best of Trinidad and Tobago in the field of music.
That is the idea behind it. They come here, you know, and they play with our steel orchestras, and then the next part of it is that we go there to sell the services of the pan.
The Indian ambassador to Trinidad and Tobago, his pan experience, he's eager to share that with all of India. The National Steel Symphony are the best people to sell the steel pan, to market the steel pan to the rest of the world.
Trinidad and Tobago has. It is therefore a unique opportunity for us, Indian musicians, to come and perform on the same stage as the great National Orchestra of Steel Pan of Trinidad and Tobago.
Now the band doesn't only perform in concerts, the band also does workshops, visits schools, does community work. And I particularly like the work that they do in schools, where they will go do a concert, they'll give the children some hands-on. They're also now involved in pan camps. They had their own pan camp last year, where we brought children from Port of Spain communities, had an experience to do a pan camp with the National Steel Symphony. While we had pan camps in other pan yards, theirs was different because of who they are, the kind of music that they play. And it gives the children a chance to be exposed to some of the most brilliant pan musicians we have in Trinidad and Tobago. So they're well-trained musicians. They're also pan men and women. Somebody asked me, what do they do all day? I said they practice and they prepare, and so that they will have rehearsals in the morning, and then each individual player has to hone his skills because every month he's tested. The musical director tests each person on their instrument at the end of each month, and you are given a review. And based on that review, it will determine whether you will play in the next performance or not. Okay, so that if you weren't up to mark during that review, you're not playing in the next concert. He invests himself in the music that he creates. And all that he is, who he is as a Trinidadian, as a Trinidadian musician, who he is as a professional, okay, who demands high quality, and invests himself and expects from the players to invest themselves the same way. He is brilliant as a musical director, brilliant. And he brings out the best out of those players. And that is a wonderful thing, and we are blessed to have Nsso.
To see our music director, Mr. Jessel Murray, in action, to see him conduct both the drums of India and our steel orchestra was just something out of this world.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jessel Murray.
they're familiar with what is happening in there, and we're going in there with pan. From what I could see, they are very enthused about that as well.
The scope of the steel pan is so much. Particularly the tone is amazing. The tone, the quality of sound, it's very musical, soothing to the ears. And I can even suggest that somebody can try classical music on this, Indian classical music on this steel pan. They can definitely do that.
I hope that won't be too far when we see that day, that moment, when we can see the vastness of the steel pan come to the diversities of Indian culture and bring together what we call the Nile and the Ganges. And here,
the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York has given to our steel pan the title, The Instrument of the Future. In an age of globalization, when national identity and preservation of indigenous culture simultaneously face a mix of opportunities and threats, our country has but two choices. We can either watch others take possession of our national instrument, or we can continue the fight to develop it and sell it to the global community. The National Steel Symphony Orchestra stands ready and willing to carry the latter mandate. The marketing and promotion of our own voice, the instrument of the future.
The steel pan.